Welcome to English Unlocked, the podcast where language isn't just a tool, it's your secret weapon. Now, let me ask you something. Have you ever found yourself being too friendly in a serious business meeting? Or maybe using words like therefore, moreover, and hence in a WhatsApp chat with your best friend? Funny, right? But also kind of a problem. Because what if I told you that the inability to switch your tone from formal to informal or the other way around could be silently hurting your relationships, your reputation, and even your career? Today, we're diving into one of the most underrated skills in communication, tone switching. And believe me, by the end of this episode, you're going to think about your words in a whole new way. And to help me unravel this fascinating and powerful concept, I'm joined by someone truly remarkable, a woman whose voice has shifted from TED stages to classroom lectures to fireside chats with equal grace, Sophia Miles. Sophia, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Daniel. That was a lovely introduction. And you're absolutely right. People often overlook the magic of adapting their tone. It's like choosing the right clothes for the right occasion. You wouldn't wear a tuxedo to a picnic, right?
Exactly. And yet, we wear the wrong verbal outfit all the time. Let's begin at the very heart of it. Sophia, what is tone or register in language, for those who might be hearing these terms for the first time?
That's a great starting point, Daniel. You know, we often hear people talk about speaking politely or casually, but they don't realize they're actually talking about tone. Tone, Daniel, is basically how you say something, the attitude behind your words. Whether you sound friendly, formal, annoyed, distant, that's all tone.
Right, Sophia. I feel like tone is something we use every day but don't really think about. It's automatic, but it can also go wrong if we're not careful. Like sometimes, I might be joking, but come across as rude just because my tone was off. Tone makes a huge difference in how people receive our message.
Exactly, Daniel. And then there's register, a related but slightly different concept. Register refers to the overall language style we use depending on the context. So, whether you're speaking formally in a job interview or casually with friends, that's your register. For example, if you say, "Could you please provide that document by Friday?" That's a formal register.
And if I say, hey, can you send me that file before Friday? That's more informal, right, Sophia?
Yes, Daniel, you've got it. Both versions are correct grammatically, but you wouldn't want to mix them up in the wrong setting. Imagine using that informal line in a legal office. That might not sound appropriate. And that's why understanding both tone and register is so crucial, Daniel.
Sophia, you make it sound so simple, and yet I feel like most of us were never taught this clearly. In school, we learned grammar rules, how to write essays, memorize vocabulary, but things like tone and register management were never really explained.
True, Daniel. And that's a big gap. Because communication isn't just about what you say, it's also about how you say it. And managing your tone and register makes you sound more natural, respectful, and confident.
Agreed, Sophia. And now that you've explained it, I can actually think of times I misused tone, not on purpose, but because I didn't know the effect it could have.
That's a common experience, Daniel. But the good news is, once you become aware of tone and register, you start noticing it everywhere, in emails and conversations and TV shows. It's like a new layer of communication that opens up. Daniel, let's dive into why switching tone is so important in daily communication. Imagine this. You walk into a bank and the employee behind the counter greets you with, "Yo, what's up?" Wouldn't that catch you off guard?
Absolutely, Sophia. That's not what I'd expect at all. It would feel weird. Even if the words themselves aren't rude, the tone is just wrong for the setting, and that's what makes people uncomfortable. It's not the message, it's the mismatch between the tone and the environment.
Exactly, Daniel. And here's another example. Let's say you text your best friend and write, "I hope this message finds you in the best of health and spirits." Now that's a beautiful sentence, but it's way too formal for a casual text. Your friend might think something serious happened, or that you're being sarcastic.
Yes, Sophia. Tone mismatch can cause all sorts of confusion. You could sound sarcastic when you're being sincere or too distant when you're trying to be friendly. And honestly, tone switching isn't just about etiquette. It's about making people feel understood and respected.
Well said, Daniel. When the tone doesn't fit the situation, people can feel disconnected. They might not trust your message. They might even question your intentions. Whether it's too casual in a formal setting or too formal with a friend, poor tone management can harm relationships.
Right, Sophia. I've seen it happen at work too. One of my colleagues once replied to a client's email with too much casual language, lots of hey and LOL type stuff. The client didn't respond well. He thought we weren't taking his project seriously.
That's a perfect example, Daniel. The right tone builds trust, while the wrong one can quietly damage it. And in today's world, emails, social media, video calls, we need to switch tones quickly based on who we're talking to.
Yes, Sophia. And I think this is where awareness and practice really help. Once you start paying attention to tone, it becomes easier to adjust, like switching gears while driving. It's awkward at first, but then it becomes smooth.
Great analogy, Daniel. And switching register is the same. Whether you're writing to your boss, chatting with a friend, or giving a presentation, the way you speak should fit the situation. That skill is key for personal and professional success.
Totally agree, Sophia. Tone switching is not just a communication trick, it's emotional intelligence in action.
Daniel, let's talk about where people commonly mess up their tone and register. This happens more often than people think. There are 3 situations I see again and again.
I'm listening, Sophia. Let's hear those real-life areas where tone fails the most.
First one, Daniel, business meetings. You won't believe how many people walk into serious work discussions and talk like they're chatting with a friend at a cafe. They use casual phrases like, no worries, dude, or they include emojis in emails like thumbs up or laughing face. That kind of casual tone might seem friendly, but in many workplaces, especially traditional ones, it comes off as unprofessional.
That's a good point, Sophia. I've seen people send work emails with GIFs or memes, and while it's fun, it sometimes sends the wrong message, especially if the recipient is senior or from a different culture.
Exactly, Daniel. Second situation, customer service. A lot of customer support agents rely on scripts that are extremely formal and robotic. Picture this. A customer writes in frustrated about a late order, and they get a reply like, "We apologize for any inconvenience caused. Your feedback is valued." It's so stiff, Daniel, that it doesn't even sound human.
Yes, Sophia, and that just makes the customer angrier, because even though the language is polite, the tone is distant and cold. It doesn't acknowledge the person's emotion.
Exactly, Daniel. And the third situation is social settings. Sometimes people try to sound overly smart or technical, like using business jargon in casual conversations. Imagine someone at a party saying, "Let's optimize our dinner schedule to maximize efficiency." I mean, really, Daniel?
Haha, yes, Sophia, that would sound so awkward. People would probably just stare and walk away slowly. It's like forgetting that language should match the vibe of the room.
Right, Daniel. And in all these situations, business, customer service, or casual socializing, when people fail to adjust their tone, it leads to problems.
And the results, Sophia? Miscommunication, damaged impressions, and sometimes even lost opportunities, like losing a client, or a promotion, or making someone feel uncomfortable in a friendly space.
Exactly, Daniel. And what's scary is, many times, people don't even realize they've made a mistake. They just feel like things went wrong, but they can't put a finger on why. And it all comes down to tone and register mismatch.
Sophia, I think stories help people really get these concepts. Can you share a real-life example of someone messing up tone, and what happened as a result?
Oh, definitely, Daniel. I remember this very clearly. A close friend of mine once went for a job interview at a really good media agency. She was excited, well prepared, her resume was fantastic. But, and this is a big but, she made a huge mistake with her tone.
What happened, Sophia? What did she say?
Well, Daniel, she thought being relaxed and cool would help her connect with the panel. So, during the interview, instead of keeping a professional tone, she said things like, "Yo, man, I really vibe with your company's energy," And this gig sounds dope. Now, Daniel, you and I know that might sound fine among friends, but in a job interview?
Oh no, Sophia. That would have sounded really off, especially if the panel was expecting a more polished, thoughtful presentation.
Exactly, Daniel. She thought she was being relatable and breaking the ice. But the interviewers, well, they saw it as careless and immature. They felt she didn't take the opportunity seriously. Her tone didn't match the context.
That's unfortunate, Sophia. So what happened in the end?
She didn't get the job, Daniel, and the feedback was clear. It wasn't her qualifications or her portfolio that failed her. It was her tone. The words she chose and how she said them painted a picture of someone not ready for the role.
Wow, Sophia. That's such a powerful example. It shows that no matter how smart or experienced you are, if your tone and register don't fit the room, it can ruin your chances.
Exactly, Daniel. And the saddest part? She could have easily done well if she had just matched the tone to the moment. It's such a fixable issue, but only if we're aware of it.
That's a lesson for all of us, Sophia. When the stakes are high, interviews, pitches, client meetings, our tone matters as much as our words, maybe more.
Well said, Daniel. It's not just what you say, but how you say it. Always.
Sophia, I've always wondered, why do people struggle so much with switching registers? I mean, it seems simple. Match your tone to the setting. But it's clearly not that easy for everyone.
Great question, Daniel. And you're right. It sounds simple, but in reality, many people find it challenging. Let me break it down into three main reasons why this happens so often.
Go for it, Sophia. I think this will really help our listeners understand themselves better.
First reason, Daniel, lack of awareness. Many people just don't realize that tone and register matter. They're so focused on what to say that they don't stop to think how they're saying it. For them, if the message is clear, that's enough. But as we've been discussing, Daniel, delivery plays a huge role.
Yes, Sophia. And I think that's especially true in text messages and emails. People assume their words will sound how they intended, but without tone, readers often misinterpret.
Exactly, Daniel. The second reason is overgeneralization. People find a way of speaking that feels safe or comfortable, and they use it everywhere. For example, someone might feel confident speaking very formally, so they stick to it, whether they're in a boardroom, at dinner with friends, or texting a sibling. That one-size-fits-all approach doesn't work.
Right, Sophia. And the opposite is true too. Some people are naturally casual. They use slang and relaxed expressions in every setting, even when it's not appropriate.
That's a great observation, Daniel. And the third reason, which I find especially common with second language learners, is language learning habits. Many people learn English through textbooks or formal courses, so they end up overusing very proper, sometimes outdated, expressions in daily speech, like saying, kindly revert at your earliest convenience, instead of just, please get back to me soon.
Oh yes, Sophia. I've heard learners say things like, I request you to kindly assist me in this matter, even when asking a friend to help move furniture.
Exactly, Daniel. They're not wrong. It's grammatically fine, but the tone is too formal for the situation, and often they use that tone everywhere because that's what they were taught.
Spot on, Sophia. And sometimes the fear of being too casual leads people to swing too far the other way, sounding robotic or overly stiff, even in close relationships.
Absolutely, Daniel. It's a balancing act, and most people aren't even aware they're off balance until someone points it out or something goes wrong.
So true, Sophia. Awareness is the first step. Once people recognize the issue, they can begin adjusting their tone, and that can totally transform their communication skills.
You know what, Daniel? One thing people really need to understand is this: informal doesn't mean incorrect. That's a big myth.
Yes, Sophia. So many people believe that if it's not formal, then it's bad English. But that's not true at all.
Exactly, Daniel. Informal language is simply casual, relaxed, and personal. It's not wrong, it's just contextual. Like when you meet a friend and say, hey, what's up? That's perfect, natural, friendly. But you wouldn't use that in a resignation letter or a business email.
Haha. Right, Sophia. Can you imagine someone writing, "To whom it may concern, yo, I'm out, peace," as a formal resignation? That would be career suicide.
Absolutely, Daniel. They'd never be taken seriously again. But at the same time, if you text your best friend saying, I am writing to inform you that I will be unable to attend the gathering this evening, they might just laugh at you. It's way too stiff for the relationship.
You nailed it, Sophia. Tone needs to match the relationship, not just the words. I think people fear informal English because they think it's lazy or uneducated. But some of the most brilliant communicators are incredibly skilled at using casual language effectively.
Exactly, Daniel. Informal speech can be rich with expression, humor, empathy, all the human elements that make language beautiful. The trick is using it at the right time, with the right people.
And that's where emotional intelligence comes in, Sophia. Knowing when and how to switch. That's a real skill.
I agree completely, Daniel. Language isn't just about rules, it's about relationships. And informal English, when used appropriately, strengthens those connections.
So well said, Sophia. Informal language isn't our enemy. Misuse is. The goal is to choose what fits, not what sounds smart all the time.
Exactly, Daniel. Because at the end of the day, communication isn't about impressing people, it's about connecting with them. Daniel, I think it's time we give our listeners some real practical tools to master tone switching. Theory is great, but practice makes it stick.
Absolutely, Sophia. Let's give them something they can actually use. Something that builds awareness and confidence, step by step.
All right, here's tip number 1. Daniel, read different styles of writing. I always suggest comparing a newspaper article with a WhatsApp conversation. The contrast between formal journalism and casual texting is a great way to train your brain to recognize different registers.
That's a clever one, Sophia. Reading different voices really tunes your ear. You'll start noticing word choice, punctuation, sentence structure, all those subtle things that make tone what it is.
Exactly, Daniel. Tip number 2 is to practice role play. Take one sentence and say it 2 ways, one formal and one casual. For example, can you help me with this task? Becomes, would you mind assisting me with this? In formal tone and in casual tone, maybe, hey, can you give me a hand?
I love that, Sophia. It makes tone switching a fun little challenge, and the more you do it, the more natural it becomes. You start developing a mental switch.
Right on, Daniel. Tip number 3, this one's big, record yourself. Honestly, when you listen to yourself speak, it's a real eye-opener. You hear how you actually sound to others, not just how you think you sound.
Yes, Sophia. I've done that myself. Sometimes I thought I sounded warm and polite, but on playback, I came across a bit flat or even cold. Self-awareness changes everything.
Exactly, Daniel. And here's tip number 4. Learn to use tone indicators, like emojis, exclamation marks, or ellipses, in digital conversations. Of course, use them wisely and appropriately, but they help convey tone where voice can't.
That's true, Sophia. A simple emoji like smiley can soften a short message. Without it, okay, might feel cold, but okay feels friendly.
Totally agree, Daniel. And finally, always ask yourself 3 questions before you speak or write. 1. Who am I talking to? 2. What's the setting? 3. What do I want to achieve? Answering these gives you a clear direction. It's like your tone compass, as you brilliantly put it earlier.
Thanks, Sophia. And honestly, these tools aren't just for students or language learners. Professionals, leaders, even native speakers. Everyone benefits from tone mastery.
Absolutely, Daniel. Tone is universal, and learning to control it doesn't just improve communication, it elevates connection, trust, and even career growth.
Sophia, we've talked about tone from a functional point of view. But now I want to dive deeper. Let's talk about emotion. How does tone affect how people feel?
Oh, Daniel, this is such a crucial angle. You're absolutely right. Tone isn't just a style issue, it's actually the emotional packaging of your message. It can completely change the way your words are received.
That's powerful, Sophia. So even if the words are polite or correct, the wrong tone can still hurt.
Exactly, Daniel. A kind message delivered in a cold tone can come across as distant or uncaring. Imagine someone saying, I hope you're okay, with a flat voice or frown. It doesn't feel genuine.
Right, Sophia. The feeling doesn't match the words. And on the flip side, a tough or firm message can feel supportive if said in a warm, respectful tone.
Yes, Daniel, that's the beauty of it. A manager saying, you need to improve this area, and I believe you can, with encouragement in their voice, can actually empower the employee. But the same words in a strict, cold tone might feel like a threat.
That really shows how tone carries emotion, Sophia. And most of us remember not what someone said, but how they made us feel.
Exactly, Daniel. Tone can either build trust or break it. It can make someone feel safe or judged, valued or dismissed, all with the same sentence, just delivered differently.
That's deep, Sophia. It makes me think about relationships too. In families, friendships, even with strangers. How you say something can change the whole dynamic.
Absolutely, Daniel. Like in conflict resolution, you can say, I need space, in a respectful, calm tone, and it helps. But say it sharply, and it creates distance or hurt. Same words, different emotional effect.
So what's the key takeaway, Sophia?
Daniel, I'd say this. Tune into how you want people to feel, not just what you want to say. If you want to comfort someone, speak with warmth. If you want to motivate, speak with belief. Your tone is your emotional message.
Beautifully put, Sophia. Tone isn't just sound, it's sensation. It's how your words hug or hurt, lift or crush. And that's something we all need to be more mindful of.
Exactly, Daniel. Because at the end of the day, people won't remember the grammar you used. They'll remember whether your words made them feel seen, heard, and respected. All right, Daniel, let's wrap this up with something practical for our listeners. Here's a fun challenge. Take one simple sentence. For example, I need this done today. Now, imagine saying it in 3 totally different situations.
Go on, Sophia. This sounds interesting already.
Okay, first, as a boss to an employee, your tone should be firm but respectful. Something like, I'll need this completed by the end of the day. Let me know if you hit any roadblocks. Second, as a friend reminding another, you'd keep it light. Hey, don't forget, I really need that done today, okay? Third, as a student talking to a classmate, maybe more casual. Hey man, we gotta finish this today, remember?
That's such a simple but powerful exercise, Sophia. It shows how one sentence can wear different clothes depending on who's speaking and who's listening.
Exactly, Daniel. And here's a bonus tip. Try writing one short email in 3 different styles. Formal, like for a manager. Semi-formal, like for a colleague. Friendly, like for a classmate or cousin.
That's brilliant, Sophia. These exercises build tone awareness in real life, and once people become aware, they can truly master the art of switching. All right, Sophia, as we get ready to close today's session, I want to ask, what's one powerful message you'd like to leave our listeners with?
Just one? All right, Daniel. Here it is. Learn to read the room. Whether it's a physical meeting, a Zoom call, or even a WhatsApp group, tone matters. Your words are powerful, but only if they fit the moment. Mastering tone is not just about sounding nice. It's about connecting wisely.
That's beautiful, Sophia. To everyone listening, words can open doors or close them. So don't just speak English. Speak it smartly. Be intentional. Be aware. And always be respectful of context.
Such a pleasure as always, Daniel. Conversations like these are my favorite. Real, helpful, and full of heart.
The feeling is mutual, Sophia. And to our amazing listeners, thank you for joining us on Speak Smart today. If this episode added value to your day, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who could use a little tone check. Until next time, stay wise, stay kind, keep growing. Goodbye from all of us at English Unlocked.